Arthritis. 85% of all Americans over the age of 50 already have arthritis and osteoporosis of one time or another to one degree or another. There's not a single medical treatment, that's according to the Center for Disease Control of Atlanta, Georgia, not me. And there's not a single medical treatment designed to prevent or cure osteoporosis or arthritis. There's not a single medical treatment designed to prevent or cure. The only approach that the medical system has is pain relief and surgery. Pain relief and surgery. Well, we eliminated arthritis and osteoporosis in animals 300 years ago in Europe and 1,000 years ago in China. We've known for 1,000 years how to prevent and cure osteoporosis and arthritis. I give you a little hint. People hear me say that all the time. Well, that can't be. How many of you heard of, in the old herbal days, in the old homeopathic days, hundreds of years ago, in China, thousands of years ago, there's a term when they didn't know what to use, what herb to use to treat a disease, they always started out with like treats like. How many of you heard that term? Like treats like. L-I-K-E treats L-I-K-E. So if you had a blood disease, you'd take a herb that was red. If you had a brain disease, you ate walnuts because a walnut looked like a brain. Half a walnut looks like a brain. And so that's called the theory of signatures, the rule of signatures, meaning you take an herb or something that looks like the part of the body that you want to fix, and then it's a place as a starting point. And sometimes it was a great treatment, sometimes it wasn't. And so when you had a bone problem 1,000 years ago, what did the old root doctors and what did the old shamans and the old voodoo doctors do 1,000 years ago? When you had a bone problem, what did they make you eat? Bones! How difficult is this? Hallelujah. Hoo-ah. Now you can't do that anymore because there's lead in bones, and they took it off the market for human use. I can remember my dad. We ate the meat and he ate the bones. When I got married to my dear wife, if you read the book, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, it's a great story. I mean, we lived off of fish and shrimp and things that we would catch off of our boat. We lived on a boat. We were boat people, and she said, please don't tell my parents we're boat people. I said, honey, this is a yacht. She says, they don't know yachts in China. It's a boat. When we'd catch fish, I would eat the fillets, and she would eat the bones. I said, don't tell people you're eating the garbage. And she just smiled at me and said in her shy little way, oh, who's getting the better deal here? Hoo-ah! The coming epidemic of arthritis. I mean, what a sick article. The bad news is research shows the disease starts attacking your joints before middle age. Well, they start attacking your joints when you're 2. How many of you heard of growing pains? Yeah, if you want to have fun, go to a mall and just sit in a chair and look at kids. Don't look up above 3 feet. Just look at little kids. Go to a zoo and sit on a bench and just look at kids. Don't look at the animals. Don't look at the people. Just look at kids. Now, you don't see any walking kids anymore. This 25-year-old mother, has an 18-wheeler baby cart. She's got a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and she's got a 6-month-old on her back. And she's struggling along with this 18-wheeler baby cart. Now, they're living on apple juice and dry cereal and Fruit Loops for breakfast, and they're getting peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch, and they're getting Kraft macaroni and cheese for dinner, or French toast, white bread and egg beaters. And these kids can't walk 2 feet. Pick me up, and they just sit down, Now, if I'd have done that when I was 6 years old, my dad, bam! He said, I'm not carrying you, boy. He said, you get up and walk, or you're going to die where you lay. Our wonderful FDA approved Vioxx. They never took it off the market. Merck took it off the market after 4 years because their accountant said you'll never sell enough. You'll never sell enough to pay for all the lawsuits. Over the 4-year period, there was 139,000 people had heart attacks that could be linked directly to Vioxx. 139,000 in 4 years, and depending on whose statistics and data you look at, 55,000 or 85,000 of them died. And the FDA never took it off the market. Aren't they protecting us? Well, you can't use those vitamins and minerals. You might overdose. Arthroscopic surgery for arthritis is a worthless procedure, published in the New England Journal of Medicine. It was a big study done by the Harvard Medical School, July 2002. Why did doctors continue to use arthroscopic surgery for arthritis of the knee? $1.5 billion they made in income on that one procedure in the year 2001. Osteoporosis strikes both sexes equally. I had to go to Canada to learn this. November 2001, the Globe and Mail, great Canadian newspaper. Osteoporosis strikes both sexes equally. Anybody read that in an American newspaper? No. Big study, 10,000 people, over 3,000 men, over 6,000 women. Men are as likely as women to suffer from osteoporosis, the surprise findings from a new 5-year Canadian study to be released today said. The results turn the tables on the belief that women are the prime victims of conditions. Now here's kind of interesting. This study, the results of the study, will almost certainly change the way that medical professionals deal with the unexplained bone fractures in men and the way that education about the condition is handled. Now raise your hand, gentlemen, if you got an email or a postcard or a phone call or a letter or some kind of communication from your personal medical doctor, your primary care physician, your family doctor saying, Roy, you better come on in because we just learned that men get osteoporosis at an equal rate with women. I want to do a bone density test on you. Any of you men get that from your medical doctor? Now, I've given this lecture for 5 years now. I've lectured 300 times a year. I've been in 8 countries, and I've never had a single man raise his hand, or a married man either. Never had any man raise his hand. I realized what that sounded like. Okay. Now, here comes the killer. The guy who's in charge of the Department of Rheumatology, you know, the bone disease guy from McMaster's University, which is like their Harvard Medical School. We didn't think that men got fractures. And now this is what he's teaching in medical school. You want to slap that guy, grind him up, and feed him to a rabid dog. And he's teaching that to medical doctors, that men don't get fractures. Disregard them. They're all gnarled up with Dowager's hump. They can't even pick up a glass of water. Well, you're okay. You're a man. You don't get osteoporosis and arthritis. Hoo-ah. Carbonated drinks. Carbonated drinks. 10 years before this, in 1990, the Harvard Nurses Health Study looked at 90,000 nurses over a 10-year period, and they looked at these adult nurses from between the ages of 35 and 70, and they discovered that those drinking non-cola carbonated drinks had an increased risk of fractures and osteoporosis over those who just drank water and tea by 300%. The ones who drank cola carbonated drinks increased their risk of fractures and osteoporosis over those just drinking water or tea by 500%. So they wanted to see if this happened in girls. They're thinking that it's a women's disease, right? And so they went to Boston. They got to 460 young girls in the 9th and 10th grade, and they did a little study on them, and they found out that the girls who drank carbonated drinks were 3 times more likely to get fractures and osteoporosis. I mean, we're talking about junior high school girls. They have a 300% increase in the risk of getting osteoporosis and arthritis and fractures over girls who drink water and tea. Now, why would you let your kids drink that stuff? I want to end up with that reminder that if it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to us. Just don't expect everybody to believe us. Everybody doesn't believe Jesus. And so why would they believe us? And so we can only save them that will be saved. But we have to keep telling the story and telling the story. Did Jesus give up when people rebuked him? Till his last breath, he kept on going. He was the only one who satisfied the law out of the Bible. Adam couldn't even keep his mouth shut and not eat the apple. That's all he had to do. That's all Adam had to do is not eat the apple. And so we have to keep talking. We have to keep sharing the message. That's what this is all about. And if we do this, you will be rewarded beyond your wildest dreams because we are going to be the Home Depot of healthcare in the next decade. Hooah! Hooah! Hooah!
Information and statements regarding dietary supplements discussed have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any